Word on the street is that home is the place to be, but the FLW is still the thing to see. The coronavirus has the majority of us sitting at home as the country is going through somewhat of a shutdown. And our daily lives have definitely been disrupted by COVID-19. There's a lot of things that I miss, but someone that I really miss, that we all miss in the fishing world, is Larry Nixon. Everyone asks, everywhere we go, where's Nixon? And I want you to know that during the COVID-19 pandemic, the world needs Larry Nixon in a really bad way right now. And I found him, finally. What's up, Larry Nixon? Where have you been, man?
I've been hid up here in these hills rehabilitating this shoulder. I had to come down here to my daughter's just to get internet to see you.
Oh, man, you have no idea how good it is to see you. You really have no idea, Larry. Larry Nixon has won about $4 million fishing professionally. And a lot of that's been with FLW. I think about half of it's been with FLW. The other half has been with BASS. With the FLW, he has 4 pro circuit wins, 28 top 10s. He's a 17-time Forrest Wood Cup qualifier, in which he has 5 top 10s at the Forrest Wood Cup. He's been fishing with us for 22 years, but his BASS statistics are really, really impressive, man. He's got 14 bass wins, 85 top 10s, and 25 classic bursts. He's a former classic champion, former angler of the year. He has done nearly everything in this sport, a guy who has helped build this great game into what it is today. Larry Nixon, thank you for joining me on episode 2, Catching Up with Chris Jones. Man, you have no idea what you mean to this sport.
Well, I'm glad I could be here. I'm going to tell you what, I didn't really think we could make this happen. And if it hadn't been for Lindsay and Cody, I wouldn't have.
Hey, let me tell everybody, we're doing this on an iPhone right now. So it's you going the extra effort. You have no idea how much we appreciate it, man. Let me tell you something. The world's in a bad way right now, man. I mean, everything's shut down. I think March 12th was the day that the sports world, kind of came to a ceasing halt. And that includes the fishing world too, man. But you know what? You're a guy that we call you the general for a reason, man. You just seeing you and hearing from you gives us a lot of hope. And I have not seen you since the 2019 Forrest Wood Cup, man.
That's right.
That was, I'm trying not to get emotional, man. That was last August. And you and I, we keep in touch throughout the year, man. Thanksgiving, Christmas, we stay in touch. But, you not being on the pro circuit is weird. And I really do get that, man. Where's Nixon at? It's been strange not having you there. And then this pandemic breaks out, this coronavirus, and we need to see you, Larry. How's it going, man? How are you?
Well, it turns out I picked a really good year to have a new shoulder stuck in there because, I missed the first 2 events, and that was 2 events that I just love. I love Rayburn and I love the Harris chain, and just not going. Yeah, I felt pretty bad about it at that time. But then when the virus hit and I was doing my rehab, I was sitting there thinking, you know what? I picked a really good year to get this shoulder fixed. And, I'm real proud of it so far. I've worked awful hard. I've done them. I've got I don't know how many different exercises that I have to do every day. And I mean, it's slow, but it's coming along good. It works. Everything is good. No pain. It's just it's just some of the muscles that right now I'm really having to work on to get strength back, because I can hold that crappie rod for about 2 hours and all of a sudden, that crappie rod gets real heavy.
So you are fishing then, Larry. You are fishing.
Yes, I am. I'm going quite often, getting a little time on my boat and trying to get this arm built back up so, I can come back and go fishing when all this mess is over.
Praise the Lord on that, man. Hey, we need to hear it from you. We're going to make it through this COVID-19 thing, right, Larry? You've seen a lot of things in your life. We need to hear it from the general.
We're going to get through this, and we're going to be bigger and better when it's all over. I guarantee you.
That's what we need to hear, man. Well, you don't know how bad people need to hear that from you. And when the fishing world, I went to, we did the Lake Martin event, about a little less than a month ago. And that was about the time that they started shutting everything down, and we already had our guys there and everything set up. And I was really proud of FLW, what we did to make sure that we secured that area. The safety and the health of the anglers was incredible. But I've never seen anything like it, like the social distancing we put in place and the amount of hand sanitizer and cleaning supplies and Lysol that we went through, man. We made it happen. But yeah, it was it's kind of one of those things where I've never seen anything like it in my entire life, and I know that you probably haven't either. But you're right. We are going to get through this and be better on the other side, aren't we, buddy?
I watched that entire weigh-in, and I thought, wow, they're having to go through a lot of stuff to get that weigh-in over. I could see him wiping that mic down every time a fisherman would talk to it, and I'd like, Lordy mercy, this is like something out of Africa.
It is. No, it really, absolutely, man, absolutely. I've never had to really keep a conscious effort of that. We're creatures of habit, and that includes my stage routine, man. So I had to really kind of reprogram myself to make sure it was more about health, education than it was entertainment at that point, man. So that leads me to another question, Larry. So you've been keeping up with the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit, man. We're 3 stops in. You've been keeping up with things?
Well, I have. I watch every fishing show. It don't matter who's got a weigh-in going. I watch it. That's what I do for a living, and I love the sport of bass fishing, so I'm going to be there for them. They may not know it, but I'm watching.
Absolutely, man. Hey, let's talk about Holy Camole. We got to talk about your famous quote, man. I think it was, you said that many years, but I think when it went viral was Lake Chickamauga. I think the one that Michael Woolley won.
Yeah.
Right there pushing for another win in that one. I think you were fishing pretty close to him, right down the ridge, I think. But you caught that fish, that Holy Camole, and that's that might have been your bridge fish, where you said Holy Camole.
That's right.
I want you to know, Dudley used that quote later. I was fishing. Let's see here. I don't know. We were back in January, I think, is on Kentucky Lake. We were crappie fishing. I'm crappie fishing with a friend. And he catches this magnum crappie, right? He says, "Holy camole!" And I just looked at him. I said, "Where'd you hear that?" He said, "That's a Nixon thing, right?" I said, "Yes, that's a Nixon thing for sure, man." Holy camole kind of went viral, man. You know that, right?
Oh yeah.
There are people catching fish all over the world, man, saying "Holy camole" when they catch the kicker.
That's right. Them big fish can make you say strange things, and I've spent so much time in the boat, I figured out something to make somebody laugh. So that's where that come from.
Hey, look, the Cherokee event has been rescheduled. So has the Hartwell event. We've had several that, as you know, have been rescheduled. That Cherokee event, that's a June deal now, man. Is that something you're going to be able to make? Is that going to be your breakout tournament right there, Larry?
It kind of depends on how much strength I get back between now and then. I'm just playing this thing month at a time, and it's been a little over 3 months now since on the shoulder, and everybody's telling me it's going to take 6. I was hoping for 4, but 4 ain't going to happen. I can tell you right now, that crappie rod gets so heavy I can't even hardly make a cast with it. So it just kind of depends on how fast I can get that strength back. That's a slow process, Chris. I don't know whether you know that or not, but all them little muscles in there around that new shoulder, they've kind of got to get really tight, and then you got to get them built back up to where I'm strong. It don't hurt. I can do anything I want to do, but to sit there and hold it in that cocked position, like when you're fishing, you're like, I'm ready.
Absolutely.
Well, after about 2 hours, that thing, it gets wants to sag.
I get it, man. I get it. I do. I understand it. That's the fatigue factor, having to rebuild all that stuff back up. No easy process.
No, it's not. And, I tried working out every single day because I thought, boy, the more I do this, the quicker it'll get well. But I ain't real sure about that. I think you got to work a day and rest a day, work a day and rest a day.
I understand, man. I get it. I really do. I hope that you make that event. That would be awesome. We would have 2 events left at that point in time? The last 2?
That's correct. Dardanelle, I think, and St. Clair.
That's it. That's good. Good stuff, man. Well, hey, I'm gonna get. By the way, your favorite technique is that the worm. That's a good thing. You're not a deep cranking guy. That's good.
That's a real good. I hadn't been able to do that in 5 or 10 years.
I remember you said that several times on the show. Yeah. Well, we want to see you soaking that worm, man. That's what you love to do, and you're one of the best in the world at it. One of the guys that kind of the innovator of that.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing to do. And, you know, it's not that it's my favorite thing to do. It's just that I learned that would always catch fish when they weren't biting other baits, and I could just back off and try a worm or a jig and continue to catch fish throughout the day. So, you know, to me, it's a high percentage bait, and that's what I'm going to use most of the time is the bait that I think will catch fish all day long.
That's good stuff, man. Hey, listen, I'm going to get personal with you for just a few minutes. Can we do that?
I think so.
Okay, here we go, man. So 2012, let's go back in time just a little bit. After 32 years fishing professionally, George the Gentleman Cochran retires. Now, that was your travel partner for a long time. You guys have done everything in the sport together. He won both the Classic and the Forrest Wood Cup. He wanted to retire at the age of 62. What did his retirement, what kind of effect did that have on you? What did it mean to you?
Well, I lost a good friend, you know, that had been with me forever and ever and ever. I'd done the same thing with Tommy Martin a few years earlier. You know, he got to where he couldn't go to the pro circuits, and the three of us had been together forever. And yeah, it was kind of lonely out there for a little while. But believe me, George don't never let nothing. He's going to call you about every other day. I don't care where you're at or what you're doing. He still calls me. He's done called me this morning. You know, it's like,
that's awesome.
I'm bored. I got to call my buddy.
Man, that's good. So you guys stay in touch. He still fishes, right?
He still fishes. He fishes them stripers, and he's been bass fishing quite a lot here lately because, you know, he's been in lockdown too with his wife in the house, and he says, I got to get out of this house. I'm going fishing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I missed old George, but he had a lot of arm issues too. He had some of that stuff where the tendons runs up through the forearm, and after about 6 hours, that old arm would be hurting so bad he just couldn't stand it anymore, and he decided rather than getting it fixed, he's just going to quit. I'm not going to say he quit. He retired.
He retired. One of the best ever. One of the guys that built this great game into what it is today, man, for sure. And a guy that I've got a lot of respect for. I'll never forget. I think we were at Old Hickory in a FLW Series BP Eastern Division event. Remember those days?
Oh yeah.
I think we're at Old Hickory, and he had like 20 pounds of live well. He had some mechanical issues and wasn't going to be able to make it back in, and called me. Said, yeah, you know, I'm a pretty good ways away. I've already made arrangements to get picked up, and we're going to go get some things fixed. I'm going to be back out there tomorrow. That was day one. I said, well, how'd you do, George? He said, yeah, I have 21 pounds. He said, well, we called him, took pictures, weighed him. I said, 21 pounds on Old Hickory Lake? Man, you be leading. He's like, yeah, I know it. Man, it's just one of those things. And I want to tell you something, man. Most guys would have blown a gasket in that situation. They called him Gentleman George for a reason, right?
That's right. That's absolutely right. You know, he had a car up there in St. Clair that time, and he had a big old sack of smallmouth, and he was over in Canada, and we had to figure out how to get him back to the USA with no passport. No, he didn't have nothing for his trailer, and it was a problem. But he didn't blow up. He just said, "Well, I hit a car. I was running that shallow water."
Golly, isn't that something? That is something else. He's a great guy. It's his retirement. It doesn't affect you. You're not going to retire. Tell me you're not going to retire, man. I know you'll be 70 this year, right? But you're still fishing strong, and you're still making cuts, still making cuts. I mean, you're still, and you know what? More than all that, you're getting your health back. It's improving.
Yeah, I'm not going to retire.
Good.
I mean, you know, when I get to the point that I embarrass myself fishing, then I'm quitting. There ain't going to be no retiring. I will quit.
I remember they asked Guido Hibden one time. They said, I think Charlie Evans asked him on stage, Kentucky late 90s. Said, you know, Guido, people ask, when are you going to retire? He said, what am I going to do, retire and go fishing?
Yeah, that's what I would do.
That's it. Yeah, I hear you, man. Well, that's good. The fishing world needs its general. That's for sure, man. I'll tell you. I'll tell a quick story about Larry Nixon. I've known you for, I don't know, since the early 2000s. I started with FLW. as a Toyota Series. Back then it was the EverStart Series tournament director in 2002. I've known you for a long time, but I'll never forget the Lake Dardanelle 2007 FLW Series BP Eastern Division event. You're leading going into day 4. I think you got a pretty good lead, a couple pounds maybe, and Matt Herron snuck up on you, edges you out by 5 ounces, and I will never forget the beast that came out in Larry Nixon at that weigh-in and afterwards. And I knew you were competitive, but, man, that was like I'd seen a lot of weigh-ins at that point. That was like a whole nother level of, hey, he gets the win, congrats, but I'm not a happy camper.
Well, that was just one of them tournaments. We happened to be fishing pretty much in the same little area. And
I did not know that.
Oh, yeah. We even had an agreement. And that agreement didn't work too good on day 4 because the muddy water took all of his water, and mine was the only good water. Well, I didn't get to fish my good water that day.
I understand. I don't want to get too personal, but was there words or the respectful words that were said on the water, or how'd that go down?
They were very respectful words that went down on day 3, but day 4 they kind of got forgot about.
I got you. Well, that was a special area for sure to hold that much weight. You guys put the pounds on the scales, that's for sure, man. I'll never forget that event though, because even when I handed you your check, which was, I don't know, 40, 50,000, you're like, thanks. You're like, I'm going to the next one. I'm like, all right, we'll see you, Larry.
I didn't know I was that obvious.
Yeah, most guys would have loved to have gotten that check. Like, man, thanks, Chris. You're like, thanks. I'm going to the next one, buddy. Like, okay, man, we'll see.
Yeah, that was a good tournament, to be honest with you. That was outstanding.
Yeah, I think you led it for a couple of days there. That was really, really good, man. Hey, look, you're a fishing hero for a lot of people, including me. One of my fishing heroes, and watched you all my life. So, you're a fishing legend in this game. But who is your fishing hero? I mean, you had to have somebody that got you started, that turned you on, that really turned you on to the sport of competitive bass fishing. Who was Larry Nixon's fishing hero?
Well, probably the biggest hero was my dad, Lester Carl. He loved to fish, and I guess that's where I got the burning desire. But he never fished tournaments. And then in probably 1974, I met Tommy Martin, right after he won the Classic, and he moved up to Pendleton Harbor where I was at and started guiding there, and we got to be big friends. And in 76, he told me, he said, "Oh my gosh," he said, you ain't never going to make no money guiding. He said, "I can tell you right now, you catch fish every day, no matter what the weather is. You need to be tournament fishing." So I would say Tommy Martin is my hero and my idol, because he convinced me that I had the ability to fish competition.
I love that, man. Tommy's a great guy. I've known him for a long time too, and had a lot of success with FLW and bass. And I did not know that. I did not know that. That's called, you learn something every day. That's why we're doing this video podcast, man. We're diving into some Larry Nixon. What about the general name? How'd that come about? And I know, hey, your walkout song is American Soldier, right? By Toby Keith. I love that, man.
Yeah, me too. That nickname kind of, I don't know, Charlie Evans actually gave me that nickname. He didn't really realize it at the time, but when we fished, I'm pretty sure it was on Wheeler, and I can't remember exactly what year it was. I was in 10th place, and they clear out all the weights. So the top 10 goes out, and me and Mark Rose was fishing the same spot all the way up there at Decatur, which is 30-something miles away. We were running from the dam. And that last day, I ran about 20 miles, boy. I was heading back up there to fish that spot. And I stopped the boat, and my cameraman asked me, he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, I can't win this tournament up there. I said, "I'm wasting my time. Let's go practice." And I turned around and run all the way back to the dam and won the tournament with 17 pounds. And Charlie Evans said he found out about it through the cameraman, and he said only a general would make that decision.
And buddy, that stuck. That's a great story. I didn't know where that came from myself.
Yeah, that's exactly the way it went down. I stopped the boat, and we sat there a minute, and I said, "I can't win this thing up there. I'm not going back up there. I'm going practicing. I went back, started practicing, and got on a little pattern and caught a big string and wound up winning that event.
That's awesome. Great story. I think you won one in 2001, one in 2002. I think you won at Lake Norman in maybe 2007, 2012, just a few years ago. You won on the Detroit River, I think, out of Lake St. Clair. A lot of success for Larry Nixon, man. Hey, what does Gary Yamamoto's friendship mean to you?
Well, him and Beverly have been personal friends of mine for a long, long time. And you know, when Chevrolet got out of the fishing industry there, 6 years ago or 7, something like that.
Yep.
Gary jumped in there and said, "No, you're not going to retire." I was thinking about retiring because, you know, I just didn't want to deal with all the hassles of going back out there and trying to find a title sponsor and all that stuff. And I was seriously thinking about retiring that year. And Gary and Beverly said, "Absolutely not. We're gonna take care of you, and we're gonna be your title sponsor." And you know, we have a lot of fun together. They're great people and great for the fishing industry. And you know, that's the only Senko on earth. Everybody's got one, but Gary Yamamoto's got the Senko.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's good stuff right there, man. Hey, this past spring, just a few months ago, right? I'm getting old in my older days here, man. Forrest Elwood passed away, and you know, a guy, an icon, legend in the sport, a guy who raised the bar for FLW. When you talk about FLW and what we stand for, with integrity and hard work, and you know, all the good things, and that make up fishing, God's sport, right? We went to his funeral. My daughter, 7-year-old daughter, cried at his funeral. In fact, she wrote Nina a letter last night, Forrest's wife, and really, we told her to write her a letter. Nina doesn't text, so she just wants a handwritten letter, right? So we told Harper, like, you know, she'd love to hear from you. You know, Harper's known Forrest and Nina since, you know, she was born. That's 8 years ago. And she wrote the sweetest little letter. And Jamie and I read it. We both, it made us cry. It made us cry. But Forrest Elwood, everything he's done for this sport, what did Forrest mean to you, Larry?
Oh, Forrest was, you know, he was everything to all of us because he was the same man anytime you ever saw him. You know, he was great or happy to see you, always very courteous, promoted fishing as well as anybody in the industry. And not only that, he built the first bass boat I ever had in my whole life. So, you know, he means a lot to me. That little hat that little hat right there on my Evinrude hat, that's how much Forrest Wood means to me.
I know you won a Ranger boat, what, 1978, your first boat you ever won? He was giving it away, wasn't he?
Pretty much, yeah.
He's a guy
I stole, you know, Dad had like boat number 23 out of the Ranger plant. And when I went to Toledo Bend in 77, I told Dad, or 72, I told Daddy, I said, "Look, I want to borrow your boat for about 3 months, and I'll bring it back when the fish start biting in March." And so I took off to Toledo Bend with that Ranger, and in March, I sent Daddy a check so he could go buy him a new boat, and I just stayed down there for 18 years. So that's pretty much how I got started tournament fishing.
I got you. Well, I just, you know, our thoughts and prayers go out to Nina. That's for sure. She's a special lady, Larry.
Yes, she is. I mean to tell you, she is.
And it's kind of one of those things. I guess it was a few months ago when he passed. Now it seems like it was, I don't know, a few days ago, but not seeing him around at the FLW events. You know, he came to all of our TV, well, a lot of our TV stuff. You know, he came to the Phoenix Bass Fishing League All-American. He was really involved with our youth programs. You know, he thought that the youth was definitely the future of the sport. And that really brings me to my next point. We'll kind of transition a little bit. What about the youth movement? What's going on, man?
Yeah, it's unreal, you know, how many of them high school and college kids there are right now that's got dreams of doing what we do, and it's pretty amazing. In fact, we've got a big get together, I think, up there at Benton, Kentucky, you know, at Kentucky Lake this summer, where they come out there, and I'm going to participate in it again. So, you know, we'll gather up and do some seminars for them, and oh my goodness, are they fired up?
They are fired up, man. They love to see you too.
Fired up.
I was with you last year when we did that, man. That camp, they are fired up there. And you know what? That is the future of our sport. I think back about, you were talking about like the old Chevy team, man. What about Brian Thrift? He joined that team with you. He was one of your teammates. That guy's been on fire.
I'm gonna tell you, Brian Thrift right now, he's the top man in bass fishing as far as I'm concerned. It's for him to not make a top 10 is like monumental. I mean, he just every tournament he's in the top 10, and he's such a good fisherman. And then he wins a cup. He's just got that attitude right now that I'm gonna win or I'm gonna be close to winning every tournament. And yeah, like you said, he's on fire.
Absolutely. All right, one of the last topics I want to talk to you about is ethics in fishing and how things have changed, man. I think that's what you actually did at your seminar on, wasn't it? Wasn't it ethics at the high school camp?
I really can't remember last year what I did them seminars.
Hey, me neither. I understand.
I thought it was worm fishing, but who knows?
Maybe it was. Hey, let's talk about ethics in fishing and how it's changed, man. The one thing that one of the things that we're doing with the high school fishing camp is we've got that seminar over ethics. I think there's a lot of young anglers that are getting educated now, and I think through our high school and college fishing programs, that the ethics is important when it comes to tournament fishing, man. There are unwritten rules of the game, right, Larry?
There's lots of unwritten rules of the game. The only problem is nowadays is everybody finds the same fish. So you you wind up having issues where guys find the same spot. The thing about it is in ethics to me is if you don't go there the first day, if you go there on day 2 and somebody is there and in that area and they're in that area and they've been in the top 10, go on, get out of there, leave them alone. Don't make it hard for a guy to win a tournament. And, if you're there the first day, then either fish with them or have a talk with them. And, I used to do that. I'd pull over and say, hey, look, I found this spot too. I said, you want to let me catch a limit, or I'll wait until you get your limit and then you let me have it? Because tomorrow I'm going to be in that first flight and you're going to be in the second flight and I'm going to get this spot tomorrow. I said, so let's work it out.
That's awesome.
I did that a lot of times just to keep from having a problem. And
does that work out most of the time? Communication?
Yeah. As long as you're nice about it and don't encroach them right off the bat and make them mad. When you make them mad, then it's over.
Yeah.
Then you've lost a friend, and not only that, you're not going to get to fish that spot until the next day. But you're better off talking it over and working it out than you are having a altercation.
Communication is the key in everything, Larry.
That's right. Rule number 1: do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
That's the golden rule, brother.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, Larry, this is your time, man. Any sponsors you want to give a shout out to? Anybody, anywhere in the FOW universe, man? I want to give you some time. This has been awesome, and I think the bass fishing world needed to hear from its general.
Well, I miss all my sponsors, the Ranger guys and the Evinrude guys. I stay in touch with all of them, and Gary Yamamoto and Beverly. Gary's stranded down there in Fourchon, Louisiana, and Beverly's up in Texas. They can't neither one of them get out to go see the other one. But I know Gary, he's down there fishing every day and having a ball. So he ain't too awful upset about it. And actually, I think Beverly's having a good time too down there at the BK Ranch. They've got a really nice place down there in Texas. And the Lawrence, Cheryl at Lawrence, I've stayed in touch with her. And but I'll be back out there, and it's kind of been fun being at home this summer or this spring, even though I'm not tournament fishing, because I've been going over and catching them crappie and a few walleye. I've been having some awesome fish fries. Now I can tell you right now, I've been eating good. I guess you could probably tell if you could look at this belly.
Well, I promise you this: you'll work it off once you get back on the tournament scene.
I sure will.
Larry Nixon, we love you, man. That is the general, one of the guys that has helped build this great game into what it is today, the legend, the icon. We need to hear from you during this time, man, and thanks for joining me on my second episode of Catching Up with Chris Jones.
Thank you, Chris. I've sure enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, Larry. All right, man. For all things fishing, log on to flwfishing.com. It is the world's most popular competitive fishing website. And we'll see you guys next week. We're all have a new pro, and we're breaking it down, man, getting personal. And this is what it's all about. It's a tough time for our country right now with COVID-19, but we're making lemonade out of the lemons. We'll see you guys next week.